Today we have a different type of setup for this video. I am going to be podcast style interviewing the co-owner of Brand Flow and the podcast host of Becoming a Market Authority, and his most important role, my boyfriend, Ryan Lamoureux.
What is up, everybody? Hello, glad to be here.
Yeah, so this is your first time on my channel, and this video is so important because we're going to be talking about pivoting. We're going to be talking about how this summer started one way and ended in a different direction, specifically for business for us, but this may look different for you in your own life, whether it's career, relationship, health, wealth. There's always a time where change happens, and summer is a great month for that change. In the beginning of the summer, I was creating a YouTube channel about personal development and kind of trying to help overwhelmed medical professionals, and that just was not my path. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Ryan's going to talk about a little bit about his business endeavors and what he's been going through this summer in becoming a market authority, and hopefully you guys find some value in that. So, Ryan, how has your summer been so far?
Pretty good. I mean, there was a lot of moving pieces that, just going through any sort of journey or going through any sort of new chapter, like there's always, exciting, there's peaks and troughs, right? There's like highs and lows, and I think that this summer had record highs in regards to just, the amount of work that we put into building a business, learning, studying, growing, compared to where we've been in the past. We used to spend a lot of time, just not really striving towards our goals and just kind of moving towards more pleasure rather than purpose. And I would say this was easily by far the most purposeful summer, I would probably say, of our whole lives. And it wasn't always clear in the start, right? Because I think when I was reflecting at the start of this year, we were not really dialed in when it came to doing a business. We were kind of led astray a little bit, and then everything, all the resources kind of like came into our lives, and we were a lot more in the know. So yeah, it's been a great summer. All that to say.
Yeah, that is so true. At the beginning of the summer, where was your focus at the beginning? Because I can't remember. I know my focus was creating this YouTube channel. We went to the Ali Abdaal quarterly planning. We planned our Q3 goals. My big goal was to post one YouTube video a week and one short a week, and to find my voice, which was also abstract. But where were you in the beginning of the summer?
I was coming out of doing like general consulting work, which I was not too passionate about. And we were, I think, we were airdropped a beautiful course by Sam Oven's Consulting Accelerator. And that's pretty much where everything started for us. We did like a whole episode on my podcast kind of talking about this, but long story short, that's kind of where things got started, and we kind of, was transitioning away. It was the end of your school year, and it was like that opportunity where you had the free time to kind of pour into a project, pour into some sort of learning or some sort of, time of immersion, right? And I think we both kind of like got on that train, and it was just like off to the races once you were off of school and we had that course drop into our lives. It just made so much sense to like go all in on that, especially after 4th of July, which was a lot of fun.
Right, that is so true. Actually, I made a vlog about our 4th of July endeavors, but in the beginning of the summer, we were really just trying to figure out how we're going to make the most of these few months that I had off from being a speech language pathologist. What can we do to build business foundations? And for those that don't know, Ryan works on Brand Flow, and I work on my own company. So like we don't work together, we work in parallel with each other, and we kind of fell down this rabbit hole of immersion and learning about consulting and a lifestyle business. And we went to the Tony Robbins Business Mastery event. So the identity that we have created has really skyrocketed this summer. Going off of what you were saying, it was a high summer for our business successes. So I kind of just want to talk about that because I know that we've made massive pivots in our identity, but also in business in general. So what do you think the key takeaways are from this summer building your businesses? Because specifically when you pivot, right? Like you think like, oh, this is my business, this is the direction I'm gonna head, and then all of a sudden you learn a new piece of information, or you find a new mentor, and then you head in a different direction. So what did that look like for you this summer?
Well, what I'll say to that is really just having the tidiness or the organization over the foundations or the fundamentals. I think that was the biggest thing, next to business being a numbers game. If you don't know the numbers, you need to know the numbers. You have to have the optics, and like I said, business is a numbers game, so if you change the numbers, you change the game. And I think those are really the two biggest things when it comes to pivoting, and knowing when to pivot and when not to pivot, because we've done a lot of pivoting and it's led us nowhere. So there's that saying, when it comes to like the J curve or like the hockey stick effect, it's like nothing happens, nothing happens, nothing happens, and then everything happens. I think that's really what you have to keep in mind when doing any sort of business, is not pivoting before the exponential returns launch off, and understanding that everything is just a numbers game, and knowing that if you just focus on one niche, one market, set your hypothesis, and just have that foundation dialed in, and then just go the distance, right? Like there's no need to overcomplicate your offer. There's no need to focus on 100 different things. Like it's really just understanding what are the numbers that are going to grow the business. What is the business that you're really in? What is the offer? What is the market? How can I get more people to know about my stuff? And then just turning up the volume and going every single day. Because I don't know if you're like me, but I speak from experience where I've had the shiny metal object syndrome. I've made pivots, I've changed offers, I've changed markets, I've changed focuses, and I've never been able to be in something long enough for statistical significance to see the results of what it is that I'm building. And I think, I can speak for both of us to say that this whole summer was in a way humbling to just be like, okay, like, if we're ever going to make something work and we're ever going to get something to where we want to get it to be substantial enough to support our lives, then we need to play the long game, hit the numbers that we need to hit, like get to the volume that we need to hit, set the goals high, and just stay on the path. Like I don't think we're really in a position anymore to make pivots, radical pivots, or just to, move things around. I think we got such a clear understanding, a fundamental picture of just what online business is like first principled, and just like everything that we could have possibly learned in like 6-7 weeks. Like we just literally got like 20 Harvard MBAs and like all this incredible timeless valuable information like just fucking delivered to us in a way that's so applicable, so easy. It's crazy it's taken this long, but that hopefully answered the question.
Oh, that was really important to acknowledge, because we have been pivoting in our businesses so much before we could get the data to prove, like, was that hypothesis even correct? Did people want that offer? Did people not want that offer? I think I spent a lot of time building a business foundation on sand, like specifically with this YouTube channel. When I first started, like, oh, I'm gonna help anxious, overwhelmed medical professionals become confident, and it was like, I did not have the foundations. Like, what I really learned this summer was that people only pay for value. You need to have, like, who specifically are you helping? Who is that person? What do they want? Like, tangible results. And then you need to be the bridge and bridge the gap for them. And another huge thing that helped bring clarity to this business foundation and get it solid was craft skills versus personal skills. I was running away from my craft skills, and craft skills are essentially your professional skills. What do you get paid to do? And I'm a speech language pathologist. I was running away from that world. I was trying to go into personal skills, which is hobbies and what you like to do, and not necessarily get paid for. I was trying to run into personal growth and confidence, and that was personal skills. But you actually helped me have that breakthrough. Like, use your craft skills, combine your passion for business with your craft skills of speech language pathology, and then come up with, I now help sales professionals speak clearly and confidently to sell more in the United States.
Yeah, and that's really great when it comes to like understanding the difference too, because the lights have turned off. Yeah, so I just think, one thing I really wanted to mention too when it comes to like craft skills, professional skills, and like having offers that, might not make the most sense is like another realization to go hand in hand with that about, there's a difference between an offer and an idea. And I think that when it comes to, whatever it is that you're putting out in the marketplace, you obviously have to test it, you have to prove it, you have to see how the market responds to it, depending on how clear you can communicate it. And the differentiator that separates, successful from unsuccessful, at least what I've found and learned this summer, is the level of emotion that the offer emits. So what I mean by that is like, if you're going to just sell like a logical outcome, like no one's going to really, like people buy off emotion, people buy identities, people buy feelings, right? So if you're not, and that was the biggest lesson we probably learned at Business Mastery. And when it comes to pivoting, like you might not have to pivot, right? Like you might just have to tweak the messaging a little bit in a way where it's more identity based, where it's more emotional, where it's more, there's more feelings when it comes to the offer, because, even when you do, anything to do with, sales professionals and their accents and stuff, it's like that could be a very logical idea until you make it an emotional offer, right? So it's like all that to basically say, like, you just have to kind of have a good like pulse check on how emotional is your offer. Like, how is it going to change somebody's identity? How is somebody going to not be able to live without this irresistible shift that you can offer them in a way that's going to get them to emotionally be compelled enough to act? So that was like a massive shift. And I challenge us, myself, you, and like anybody watching this, like if you're offering anything, and this is like a whole snippet I did in an episode on my podcast, was really just asking that question, because I think that's at least what's held me back, had held you back in some points of time, where we think we have a great idea, and the truth is it's just too logical. Like it's never going to get anybody to act, because it's like, yeah, no, it makes sense, like, yeah, that's what they need, but it's like people don't buy what they need, it's like people buy what they want. And if you get them, an emotional offer that makes them, really compelled to act, they'll get what they want and what they need. So, yeah.
Yeah, do you want to speak upon how that's changed your business? Because I know that was a huge breakthrough, like the emotional side of selling.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking that, and I'm still dealing with, like, I don't think anybody has this figured out. Like, I think everybody, like, it's always a constant living, breathing challenge to communicate. But for myself personally, it was like always trying to figure out, like, oh, okay, yeah, like, because at Brand Flow, we're, just really helping people, business owners on LinkedIn, get more traffic, get more leads, get more sales. And when it comes to at least how my mind works, like I think very operationally, like very systematic processes and all that. And sometimes I can get lost in that, where I'm just like, you need a content system, you need to post content, you need to do DMs, you need to put your profile in this sort of way. And it's like, some people will just get lost in that, right? So it's been an iterative process in the 2.5 short months we've been growing Brand Flow. And we're still just, embarking on that messaging. Like that's where I'm fully immersed in right now, is I'm trying to, there's like micro and macro pivots, right? So it's like, this is like one of those like micro pivots where I'm trying to change the messaging in a way that's more emotional, that gets more people to have resonance with that message, because that's really the key. Is, it's not black or white, right? There's no like hard stops on you should pivot, you shouldn't pivot. It's like there's macro pivots where it's like, if you're doing a business for like 12 to 18 months and you haven't seen success, like, okay, maybe like reapproach everything. But if you are on a mission to get more people, like to sharpen your marketing message and trying to get more people to like respond to you and whatnot, you might want to think about making those like microscopic pivots where, if you can just get everything to lean towards more emotion, at least I've found that it gets more people to resonate with what it is that you do.
Mm-hmm. That was a really important point that you just made, is like you're always going to be reiterating and making those pivots within your business. It's hard to that was something that I really had to come to terms with, was like, nothing's ever perfect. And Ali Abdal made that perfectly clear too when he was like, there's good student mindset, good employee, good student mindset, and then there's good entrepreneur mindset. And you're really good with the entrepreneur mindset because you're like, let me just reiterate, I'm not ready, but I'm gonna put it out there anyways. Like, all of this take action now type of stuff, and like fix it and refine later, rather than it needs to be perfect, my offer needs to be perfect, my messaging needs to be perfect, I need to feel ready to put content out there, I need to feel ready to deliver the service. Like, I'm still shifting my mindset around that and be like, just do it. And that is something that I've learned a lot this summer. And if anyone listening is starting a business, like, you're not going to feel ready, you're going to do it anyways, and then there's always room to refine. Like you were saying, your message isn't just one day like, oh, this is so perfect and like I'll never have to change it again. Like, you're always going to make those micro pivots and add new information, change information. Like, it's always going to be an iterative process.
Yeah, and I've been saying this like a lot lately, and it's like a common saying, you know, you can't steer a parked car, or like you can't steer a parked boat or whatever, you know. And it's like, you have to think about it like, okay, like if you're just parked, like, how are you supposed to turn? You know, like, how are you supposed to know if what you're doing is good or bad, right? Like, there's no way. So like the saying is, you get going before you get good, because everybody's going to be terrible, you know, us included. When you start anything, like, you're just not good. It's like just a universal truth. So you got to get good by going. So that's the key idea, is to, if you aren't making any turns, like, just move forward, and then you will know which way to go. Is the best advice, at least I've come across, for just getting started.
Yeah, that's really great advice. And that makes me think of a question like, what are some new things that you're trying in your business moving forward where you're like, you know what, it's time to just get momentum and we'll steer as we go?
I would say it's really, like I said earlier, the numbers game. It's really upping the numbers and upping the game, and just knowing, you know, like focusing on the fundamentals and just not overlooking those, and not, you know, getting lost in the noise, focusing on the key drivers, focusing on the mission, and just, you know, really trying to serve as many people as possible. Like I said, if you change the numbers, you change the game.
Yeah, that's really great. Something for me is school community. So I'm starting a school community for sales professionals who are frustrated from being overlooked and misunderstood and asked to repeat themselves. I'm going to teach them and help them learn the English dialect and accent to sell more and get more clients, increase their income and overall career opportunities. So any last words before we end this episode? I think this was really fun, and we'll probably be doing more of these.
Yeah, I mean, like anything, you gotta just give anything enough time. And yeah, I mean, I think this is definitely a cool timepiece as we're wrapping up, because like you mentioned, like, you're gonna have to inevitably pivot back to doing industry work, you know. So like, it's gonna be cool to see how we're both able to just really carry the path forward without making any like rapid macro pivots, right? So I think it's going to be really fun, and we're going to do good.
Yay! Come here. See you later.